What's going on, guys? I am the Mad Genius, and I am back here with another video for you guys today. Today, I will be talking about WWE NXT. In my opinion, it is the best show that WWE produces at the moment, and there is a ton of talent in the developmental system at the moment. I'll be giving you my top 5 NXT divas and my top 10 NXT superstars to kind of look out for in the future. I am really excited for NXT. I watch it every week, so I get a good chance to see these guys. Some of them are indie veterans, some of them are newcomers. It's a really solid show overall, but I'm gonna jump right into it. Let's start off with the divas. At number 5, I have Summer Rae. Back when NXT and FCW were split, Summer Rae was she was the general manager for one point in time of FCW, and then when they merged, she became the ring announcer. And now recently, she just entered into a feud with another diva on this list, Paige. Summer Rae, I haven't seen too much of her in the ring. I do know that she was a former lingerie football player, a star in that league actually. She goes about 5'10", in height. She has a decent look. She's a decent talker. She's not great on the mic. Aspects of her remind me of Michelle McCool, but she's not as good as Michelle McCool. But she has a chance to get better and possibly become something in the WWE as far as the divas go. WWE should be excited for the divas they have in NXT if they ever decided to push these women. At number 4, my number 4 diva would be Emma. She is an import, so to say, from Australia. Long-time wrestler. She's fairly new to NXT. She's only been there a few months, but from what I've seen from her in the ring, she looks to be a solid wrestler. I haven't heard her talk yet, so I couldn't tell you about her mic skills, but if there was ever a mid-card for the Divas division, she would be the top mid-card diva. I don't see much future star potential in her, but she is a fairly good wrestler and someone who can fill out the Divas roster if it ever needed to happen. She's another one to pretty much look out for. At number 3, I'm going to go with Audrey Marie. She's pretty much a firecracker from Texas. A lot of her mannerisms and even her look would remind people of Mickie James at first sight. Of course, she's not Mickie James. She's not as good a talker. She's not a good in-ring worker. But you know what? Audrey Marie is a fairly solid in-ring worker. She's got a decent style to her. She has some power in her wrestling ability, and she also is she's also somewhat entertaining when you watch her. At one point, she was pegged as the top diva in the developmental system for them, outside of Shaw Guerrero, who went by Raquel Diaz, which we all know is Eddie Guerrero's daughter. But yeah, I think Audrey Marie has a lot of potential there. She has that Mickie James quality about her, that Southern Belle look, and she has good in-ring talent. So hopefully she'll develop into something. She's still fairly young. So hopefully she could turn into one of the divas we're talking about in the future. For my number 2 is somebody that I have really high hopes for. She goes by the name of Sasha Banks. A lot of you indie fans might know her. She used to go by the name of Mercedes KV. She's a YouTuber. Another thing to throw in right there is that she's a distant cousin of Snoop Dogg, or Snoop Lion, whichever you want to call him. So the star power is there, and she has a really good look. She's a really beautiful woman, but I think when people see her for the first time, you'll be really surprised. She has really good athleticism in the ring. She's not afraid to bump. She's not afraid to sell. She's really entertaining. She has a couple of lucha moves in her moveset. She doesn't necessarily have a finisher yet. That's something I still want to see her develop and work on. But her in-ring style, man, she's a high risk. She's a high flyer. Not Lita type high flyer, but you know what? She does have some of those moves in her moveset, and I think she has a certain quality to be a star women's wrestler in this business. I believe she is still only 19 or 20 years old, so she still has a long way to go. Man, she is a phenomenal developmental talent. Honestly, I think she should be on the main roster as of the moment. And um, man, one day everybody will remember Sasha Banks. Everybody will remember me saying that she was the next big thing outside of the number one diva that we come to now, and that would be Paige. Paige used to go by the name of Brittany Knight. She's imported from Britain. She comes from a legendary British family of wrestling. Her dad, Ricky Knight, her mom's Sweet Saraya. Man, what can I say about Paige that shouldn't be? I don't even know how to describe it. If I had my choice, Paige would be in not just my top 5 NXT divas, but she would actually be in my top 5 divas in professional wrestling right now. If you talk about TNA and WWE, she is a great in-ring worker. She can brawl. She can do the technical aspect. She can do the submission aspect. She has natural charisma. She's a decent mic talker. Haven't heard anything too great from her on the mic, but you know what? Her whole gimmick is the anti-diva, and when you see her, that's what you think. She looks different, pale skin, dark blonde hair. They call her the raven-haired mistress down there. That's what Ray Regal calls her. But Paige is probably one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the game right now, and you throw on top of that, she's only 20. So right now, if everything plans out like I think it should, Paige and Sasha Banks, we could possibly be looking at the next Trish Stratus and Lita feud as far as the competition between those two down the line. Now, of course, the eras are different. That was Attitude Era. We're in the PG era. And, of course, Lita and Trish were far superior in all-around aspects. But you know what? For this generation, Paige and Sasha Banks could be the next Lita and Trish Stratus. Paige, her finisher is the Paige Turner. It's not necessarily, it kind of resembles the angle slam in the setup, how she sets them up, but then she turns the opposite way and drops them on their neck. Man, what can I say? Paige, she is the best diva in NXT. Everybody should check her out on YouTube. She actually has a match with Sasha Banks from NXT down there. She had a really good match with Alicia Fox a couple of weeks ago as via Sasha Banks. Paige is the one to look out for. She has star written all over her. She has natural charisma. She is what Divas wrestling should be in WWE, and hopefully they allow her to keep that anti-diva gimmick and continue to be herself. If you're a fan of women's wrestling, you should be really excited for her, and as well Sasha Banks and possibly Audrey Marie and Emma and Summer Rae. So that would be the top 5 for the divas as far as NXT goes, and now we're going to jump into the men's side of things, and I'm going to give you my honorable mention because these guys do have certain qualities about them. So for my honorable mention, I'm going with Luke Harper, who most people might know from the indie scene as Brody Lee. He's a really 6'6" guy, fast, athletic for his size. He has great potential to be a big man in the WWE one day. We all know how they like the big men. Eric Rowan is another guy. He's 6'8". He's actually in the tag team right now with Luke Harper as the Wyatt family, and they're two big guys who have a lot of athleticism in them. The next guy for my honorable mention is Mike Dalton. Slowly but surely, he is transitioning into a Dolph Ziggler clone. And you know what? I'm a huge fan of Dolph Ziggler. So you know what? I'm behind Mike Dalton. He's got some great athleticism behind him. He used to be this kind of surfer gimmick guy, but he's transitioning into Dolph Ziggler without even knowing it. And the next guy, the last but not least, Conor O'Brien. You all might remember him from the very first season of NXT. He was the guy who had the rat gimmick where he would imitate a rat and he looked like a rat. And now in developmental, well, he was part of a tag team called the Ascension with the guy who I pegged to be a future star, Kenneth Cameron, but that didn't work out for other reasons. But Conor O'Brien's a single star right now. He's a big guy. He has some in-ring talent. Not great on the mic. Kenneth Cameron was the stronger out of the two, but I'm not really too sure about his finisher. It's just a flapjack and then into a leg drop. That's really his finisher. But you know what? He has the talent to be a mid to lower card wrestler. As far as their talent goes on their roster. So cracking out the top 10 list would be Xavier Woods. A lot of you guys might remember Xavier Woods. He was in TNA at one point. He was Consequences Creed in TNA. He's been in WWE developmental for a while now, which I don't understand. He has wrestled some live events and house shows, but they haven't brought him up yet. I don't see too much main event talent in Consequences Creed. I don't know how dedicated he is to the wrestling right now. He is working on his PhD. Big props to him for that. But at the same time, he kind of has this Kofi Kingston-esque thing about him. He's really athletic. More for the kids. He's not really main event caliber talent to me. But you know what? He is exciting and fun to watch in the ring. So I gave him the 10th spot. The next guy is a guy named Jay Bronson. Jay Bronson is a guy I feel doesn't get used enough on NXT. He's a bigger guy, but the thing about him is he is a submission specialist. And when you have a big guy who's a submission specialist like he is, who's as talented as he should definitely be used a lot more. He's 6'1", 270 pounds. This guy has a certain it factor about him to be a top heel in the business, considering his demeanor, and then the fact that he is a submission specialist. He has the talent to be a really good wrestler down the road for WWE. I just don't think they see it in him yet. He's a decent mic talker, so as long as WWE finally comes around, we'll be seeing a lot more Jay Bronson. But as of right now, I don't think they realize what they have in him. My number 8 guy, Oliver Gray, he is one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, newly crowned, of course. I wasn't too impressed with him before. I probably was going to put him somewhere around 10 or 9 before, but after this past week's NXT, he really showed me some athleticism that I hadn't seen from him before. I haven't heard him too much on the mic except after they won the NXT Tag title, so that's still something left to be seen. But if you want to talk about a guy who is solid technically wrestling wise, he's it. I don't know about main event quality though. He's probably a mid carder at best, but you know what? He is a good talent and somebody who can fill out the roster one day for WWE. Not the better out of the two in his tag team, but you know what? He's still a good wrestler. Number 7, I gotta go with Leo Kruger. Leo Kruger is really opening some eyes down in NXT and within WWE. I know he's been wrestling house shows, and he's been rumored to be the anonymous Cam, if you've paid attention to the WWE dirt sheets and whatnot. Leo Kruger kind of reminds people of a mix between Gunner from TNA and Triple H from WWE. He's got this gimmick where he's a big game hunter because he is from South Africa. The way he does it is kind of quirky, but it works for him. The way he does things. A funny part was one show he pulled out his front set of teeth, and well, not his front set of teeth, but he's pulling out one of his tooths, and it's hilarious the way he just portrays that gimmick. Really solid gimmick. He's a solid in-ring worker. I'm not crazy about his finishing move. It's called the Kruger End. It's somewhat of a neck breaker. I'm not crazy about neck breakers being finishers, but this guy, he has a ton of potential. He's jacked. He looks the part of a wrestler. He looks like a guy who could hurt somebody, and that's pretty much that has a lot to do with getting somebody over. So, Leo Kruger's another guy people should definitely look out for. At number 6, Richie Steamboat, the son of the all-time legend, the Hall of Famer, the great Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat, he's not a good mic talker. Not a good mic talker. I'm not even going to front like he is, but you know what? He has some in-ring potential. He has some high-flying moves similar to his dad did. His finisher's the super kick. I really like his in-ring work. He's a solid technical wrestler to be so young. So, hopefully one day he can put everything together and become a star. He looks like he has it in him. I honestly think he should have been in Bo Dallas's position as far as the Royal Rumble and the feud with Wade Barrett, considering his dad is the legendary Intercontinental Champion that we know about. And what better way to debut Richie Steamboat than in an Intercontinental title feud? I know there's been some issues going on with WWE trying to change his name, and Richie recently put in a trademark for his name because there's some fishy business going on with him in WWE right now. But you know what? I hope it all works out for him. He's a great young talent. Hopefully we'll see him on the big stage one day. Number 5, Bray Wyatt. Most of you might remember him as Husky Harris. He was on NXT on the previous seasons, and he's totally changed his gimmick. He is the brother of Bo Dallas, so you know he has the lineage with Blackjack Mulligan and the Rotundo family, IRS. We all know that. But Husky Harris, he has a gimmick, and that's what's going to sell Bray Wyatt. He has a gimmick. His gimmick is based off of Robert De Niro's character in Cape Fear, where he's playing this almighty being, kind of psychotic, but he pulls it off in a way that's amazing to me. His promos and video packages in NXT have been some of the best that WWE has made over the past year. If you don't believe me, YouTube Bray Wyatt, B-R-A-Y, and that's how you spell his first name, and then Wyatt, W-Y-A-T-T. Go look those up. He's actually pretty good. And in the ring, for a big guy, he can actually move around some. So, you know what? I'm really excited for Bray Wyatt's future if they allow him to keep this gimmick. He's definitely a name people should look out for, considering he cracked my top 5. At number 4, the Pride of Tijuana, El Generico, finally signed with WWE, longtime indie veteran. I believe he's still super young, maybe 26, 27 years old. People should be excited about this guy. If WWE allows him to keep his gimmick, he is a really good in-ring worker with a good, strong gimmick behind him. Now, he's not a main eventer down the road. At best, he's a mid-carder tag team champion. But you know what? He is exciting to watch in the ring, and he's something that people can get behind if he's a face. I mean, what more can I say, man? He's probably one of the best indie talents that have yet to wrestle on the big stage of WWE or TNA yet. And he did spend some time in TNA, but it's not really memorable, and it wasn't anything to consider as being on the big stage. So, El Generico recently signed, just debuted the other day. Look out for El Generico. Number 3, I really struggled not to put this guy higher than number 3. Corey Graves used to go by Sterling Keenan James in the Indies. Right now, he has my favorite gimmick in the developmental system. He plays a punk rocker rebel. His tagline is "Stay Down." He has it tattooed on his hands. The way he does his gimmick is perfect for him. Gosh, this guy is, most people that see him are like, oh, he's just another CM Punk. But no, he's not that. He has a totally different gimmick once you finally get to see him. I don't like the fact WWE just recently changed his theme music. I liked this theme music before, but from what I'm hearing, he's very close to being called up. He's been wrestling some house shows lately, and he's been backstage at the Raw and SmackDown. So hopefully he gets called up. His finisher is called the 13th Step. It is we all remember Ron Fuller, famous old school wrestler. He uses the Fuller lock. It kind of looks like a inverted figure 4 lock, but the way he uses that in the rest of his wrestling set to kind of help his gimmick and kind of back his gimmick is pretty impressive to me. And Corey Graves right now to me has future star written all over him. He looks like a main eventer. He acts like one. Possibly he's one of my favorite guys right now in NXT. I would put him at number 2 as far as my favorite guys, but as far as future talent that I see Corey Graves at number 3. Number 2, the man that gravity forgot, Adrian Neville, the other half of the tag team champions with Oliver Gray. On the indie scene, he's from Britain, so on the indie scene he went by Pac. He also did some stuff over here with Earl H and Dragon Gate. What can I say? The man that gravity forgot is the exactly perfect name for this guy. His finisher is a corkscrew shooting star press. Every time I see this guy do it, he hits it perfectly. Just do a YouTube search of Pac or Adrian Neville's top 20 moves, and you guys will be certainly impressed. He's on the smaller side. He's under 6 feet tall. But you know what? For a guy with that type of athleticism, and the way he moves around the ring, and the way he has the high-flying moveset, if WWE ever decided to bring back the cruiserweight or light heavyweight division, he would be the face of it, no question in my mind. And hopefully one day he can be put into a good tag team or even a good singles run, maybe for the U.S. or Intercontinental title, considering we've seen guys like Kofi Kingston do it. Pac would be a great choice. He's not great on the mic from what I've heard from him, but you know what? His in-ring moveset will definitely make up for that. It will sell. That's what's going to sell him, not his mic work. So, everybody should definitely look out for Adrian Neville, aka Pac, the man that gravity forgot. My number one favorite wrestler in the business right now, Cassius Ohno. He used to go by Chris Hero in the indie scene. Now he is Cassius Ohno. Indie scene, his nickname was That Young Knockout Kid, perfect gimmick. Now he is the Walking Disaster Piece. That's the nickname that they're giving him now. What more can I say about the guy besides that? He knows how to wrestle every style. He can wrestle the lucha style, the European style, the American, the Japanese. He can brawl. He can strike. He has some. He can do the technical thing. He has submissions in his bag. He is a total package. And then that's not even including the mic work. In my opinion, he is one of the top 3 mic talkers in WWE right now. You probably got CM Punk up there right now. I don't count The Rock because The Rock isn't necessarily a full-timer, but you got CM Punk, Damian Sandow, and Titus O'Neil. I would squeeze Chris Hero / Cassius Ohno somewhere in that 2 to 3 slot, depending on what type of style of promos you like. But we're talking about a guy who's 6'4", about 225, has very underrated athleticism. He looks bigger on TV he's bigger than what you would think he is. And for a guy like him to be able to move around the way he does is really cool. WWE has really toned down some of his stuff right now, but his finishing move, he has really 2 of them. He has the rolling, he throws the opponent off the rope and hits the rolling elbow. You might say, oh, Wade Barrett, he does the same move as Wade Barrett, but you know what? Cassius Ohno does it in a way that makes it look good. It's not just a ripcord elbow. He throws the opponent off the rope, hits the rolling elbow, and then when he connects, the slapping sound that he makes the move look really effective. And then the one, we knew it as the death blow, but now WWE changed it to the Ohno blade, is where he takes the opponent and he grabs them in the neck breaker position and turns them around like always. But instead of dropping them down, he just turns around and he delivers an elbow to the back of the neck area of the opponent and just knocks them out. I love the finishing move, considering that a lot of these finishers are moving towards being strikes because of the popularity of MMA. But Cassius Ohno is definitely my number 1 guy right now. He should be on the main roster. He should be in Wade Barrett's spot, like many people have said. He is a main eventer. WWE has to do something with him soon. I believe he's between 32 and 34 years old, so he doesn't have that much time left, considering he does have a lot of miles on his body. But you know what? He is the future. He is a future star, and he should have already been. If people don't remember, CM Punk blew up on the indie scene because of the match he had with this guy, Cassius Ohno / Chris Hero, when they had the 60-minute match, and then they had the TLC match. That is the match that propelled CM Punk. And if you watch the CM Punk DVD and you've seen Chris Hero and Cassius Ohno talk about it, I still feel Chris Hero / Cassius Ohno got slighted out of that deal, because at that point in time, I still think Chris Hero was better. And but you got to give a lot of credit to Chris Hero. He's got in really great shape from what he used to be. He used to be on the heavier side.